Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to Health Oddity. You're listening to episode 91 and a bit of a different one this week. It's just me and Peter. James is he's skiving, I think. So this gives us plenty of opportunity to talk behind his back and make fun of him. And he's got no recourse. He can't answer us back. But anyway, it's going to be me and Peter talking through some ideas and some general chit chat. And hopefully you'll find it pretty interesting. But as ever, we would like you to subscribe, like our Facebook group, subscribe to the podcast on whatever format you're listening on, with Spotify, iTunes, and all those things. Please do share it with your friends. And let's get on with it. Peter, it's just me and you. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's a bit weird, isn't it, without James?
It's empty.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Like, because, I mean, you've got your cooker behind you and some lovely pictures and a thermostat.
I know.
Very nice.
Well, this is an old thermostat. Doesn't even work.
Oh, okay.
It's just a show.
It's like one of them light switches that you have that you're like, look, click. No idea.
It's like that episode of Red Dwarf where Rimmer's walking around an art gallery and he picks on the light switch and talks about its structure, and actually it's just a light switch. But I like to think about it as a piece of art now. It's so old. It's antique.
What you can do is when the kids get older and they can start using it. You know, they go, oh, Dad, it's cold in here. And like you always get that with kids. Dad, it's cold in here. It's like, put some clothes on. And that never happens, right? You just go turn the thermostat up and send them to that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And psychologically see if that makes them warmer. And then you can be like, right, we'll move on with that. See? It's a good dad
move.
Save your fortune.
Yeah. It's like cutting off all the eating a steak and giving them the fat because you said the meat's poisonous,
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
you're well.
I am well. Well, what we've just been saying just before we've come on about what we're going to talk about today has been a good day for that actually. Because today's been interesting because I've got there's one of my guys is away on a stag do this weekend. Actually, he's 50 and he's off on a stag do, which is quite funny. He's quite wow. He doesn't know what's going to happen. It's not his stag do; it's his mates. But he's off up to Scotland and that, and it's like the next wave of stag do, shall we say? So anyway, he's off on that, and then there's a few people away. So I haven't actually had any sessions today. I've got one at 6:00 this evening, so I got to go for a walk. I got to go for a nice long. I was busy yesterday, so I didn't get to take the boy for a long walk. So I did the long walk this morning and a bit of stone lifting while I was up there and everything. So it was really good. And I got to name the stones today as well. So I'm quite.
You've got to name them, okay?
I did, because.
How do you name them?
Well, you just give them a name. So last week I was up there. So for anyone who doesn't know, like when we had David Keown on, he does stone lifting, doesn't he? Just walks around picking up big stones. So I found some on one of the walks I did. They're massive. Not massive, but they're not.
You're building this one up, aren't you?
They're not light.
Yeah.
But anyway, last week I was up there and I couldn't pick them up because there was cows grazing around them, and I had the boy with us, and I usually tie him up just to one of the stones.
Is that because you got nervous because the cows are watching?
Well, yeah, exactly. I got stage fright.
Yeah.
I usually tie him up.
Yeah.
So he doesn't I don't end up dropping the stone on him, because he'll want
to
be like, oh, how are you doing? But but the cows were all around. So one of them came over, was quite curious, came over to see, and then, it all started, it didn't kick off, but I was like, right, I best go. And then the cow started scratching itself on one of me lifting stones. So there's three of them. There's a smaller one, a medium-sized one, and then a big one. So they're called Itchy, Pat, and Scratchy, right?
Okay.
So Itchy and Scratchy is because the cows use them to scratch themselves on, right?
Okay, yeah.
And Pat, the middle one, is called Pat because one of the cows shat on it.
Okay.
So there you go. That's how you name them.
Right. Okay. Well, it certainly sounds evocative.
It's great, isn't it?
It's not like like some grandiose kind of name like what is it?
Goliath or something like
Yeah,
that.
Goliath or something like Slayer of Men or something.
Yeah. No,
No,
it turns out in the stone lifting community, because there's a community for all these sorts of things, isn't there?
Yeah.
So in the stone, like you basically, if you find a stone and you start lifting it and you enjoy it and all of that sort of stuff, you then give it a name and all that sort of stuff. So collectively, they're known as the Bath Skyline stones, and individually, they're Itchy, Pat, and Scratchy.
Okay, because it always sounds more poetic when David Cairn names them in Irish.
Well, yeah, you can name them in Irish, then Itchy, Pat, Scratchy, whatever that.
Yeah, well, that's it, because you wouldn't know it. It could just be big, small, and medium.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. We were talking briefly before the podcast about expectations of lifting, and because you were saying you just don't know the weight of them, so you don't know how heavy they are. You just know that one's bigger and two of them are slightly smaller, and so you don't go in with any kind of expectation of how hard they'll be and exactly what how challenging each rock will be. So you just go. You can either pick it up or you can't.
Yeah, exactly. So the first time I was up there, the first time I lifted them. I lifted the smaller one. And I managed to lift it up, but it was quite clunky and hard because it was the first time I've ever done it. Now I can pick it up and no problem. So what I'm going to do tomorrow, actually, I'm going to go back up there tomorrow. I'm going to pick that one up and do squat reps with it.
Okay.
Because I can pick the middle one up as well. That's just harder. It's a different shape. They're all different shapes and sizes as well. But then the big one, Scratchy, I could get that off the floor. Then I managed to get it off the floor, deadlift style, but you don't stand up with it. You bring it into your lap and kind of squat down with it, and then you get your arms around it, get comfortable with it, and then stand up. So I could get it into my lap in a proper deep squat, but I couldn't stand up with it today. Yeah. So that's already a progress with that one. But it's weird as well because like you go to pick it up and if you haven't got hold of it right, because obviously it's the center of gravity is not, it's not like a barbell or something like that. Yeah. So you go to pick it up, and if I haven't got hold of it right, it'll tip forwards or tip backwards. So then you just drop it because like it's heavy. So when you've got it right, you stand up and it just comes off the floor really easily. So I got it into my lap, but then I couldn't get my arms actually around it. I could get one around it and hold on to a bit, and then another bit I couldn't find a bit to hold on to. So I tried to stand up, and that arm wasn't coming with me, so I just put it back on the floor. I had a couple of goes of that. So then I thought, well, tomorrow I'll go back up and pick up Itchy, the smaller one, and do squat reps with it to build strength, like the strength into my legs, but in that specific position. Because obviously you could do squats, but squats aren't the same as doing squats with a massive stone. So
it seems a bit like problem solving, a bit like your Rubik's Cube. You've got to kind of you've got to do some exploring of it, and each one's got a bit of a problem you've got to overcome.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's just discovery. So today I put it up on a post I put up today, and I was doing some discovery with the stone. So I know how to get it into my lap. I just can't stand up with it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the, I suppose it leads nicely into this idea that we come, before we started the podcast, we were discussing what we're going to talk about. And one of the things I brought up was kind of expectations of your journey. Both of us have started rather late in terms of when we were looking to get, I got into my early 30s and same with Peter in a position where we were quite unfit, and that we decided to start getting healthy. And when you go into any of these things, you have expectations on what you think you're going to be able to achieve in any given time period and where you're going to be. And I just wanted to, talking of expectations, just like those stones, they can, in a way, you don't come with any expectations because you don't know how heavy they are. The shape is always different. And so you don't come in with any prejudice about whether or not something's possible or not. But when you go into a fitness journey, you often come in with these preconceptions about what you think you can achieve and what you hope for yourself. And I just wanted to dig down into that and see when Peter started, to see what he hoped for himself, what he expected he'd be able to achieve in the first couple of months to a year, and exactly, looking back, whether or not he's surpassed it or if he's gone a different route. And obviously, I'll give some thoughts on my own journey as well. So, Peter, I mean, when you first started, what did you expect from yourself?
Well, when I first started, I was like 25, I think. When I thought, right, because basically I'd finished university, got a job, moved down south with the job after the company I was working for got taken over, and then so yeah, I got like the same as last week or the week before when I said about we're talking about Red Dwarf, Rimmer.
Yeah.
You know, I got to 24, 25 and my muscles gave up and waved a little white flag. And then suddenly I was, you know, but I mean, basically I was, the job I was doing, I've said before, was, you know, I was a trader for an energy firm, and it was basically like being at university, but with money. So, you know, I was very unhealthy. So I started running, and basically the expectation was I didn't want to lift weights because I thought it was boring and all of that, all the usual sort of stuff. I don't want to join a gym. I don't want to lift weights. I'll just go running because it's free and you can, and I'll get fitter, and then problem solved, and I'll lose loads of weight because I probably wanted to lose about 3 stone at the time. I think I was like 13 stone or something like that. And what am I now? 72 kilos. What's that? 11 and a half, 12, 11 and a half. Anyway, I'm 72 kilos, whatever that is in stones now. So actually I wanted to lose weight to get to about 10 stone, which is way too light for me. So that was my expectation when I started. And over the years, I was doing running for, I don't know, for a lot of years anyway. And I hated it, every single minute of it. And I just didn't like it. It wasn't my thing.
Why is that?
Well, because it hurt. I was like, the more I did, the more I had to do, because you have to run for longer.
It does. That is one of the things you've got to kind of, in a way, like it, because ultimately, if you want to get good at running, some of the kind of adaptive quality is just time on the feet, you know, and you just got to keep going for longer. It's not the only way, but it typically that's the way it ends up going.
Yeah, absolutely. So I ended up doing like you know, half marathons and what have you, like started doing 10Ks and then half marathons, and I just didn't enjoy it. I was just like, I'll have to have something to, like, I have to put in for a half marathon because then I have to train for it. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. But then I stopped putting in for half marathons because I just didn't enjoy it. And then eventually, I mean, I don't know how I got into lifting weights. I suppose, I mean, basically over that time, it was lots and lots of cardio. I was doing loads of cardio, lots of like trying to do anything I was doing with weights. I was trying to do like HIIT training, HIIT style stuff, and just bouncing around in the gym. Because we had a gym at work, which was free for us to use. So I was just doing that. And then when I got made redundant in 2013, that was when I decided to do a PT course. And then when I did the PT course, that was when I kind of started to realize there was this whole other world of stuff, and like learning about programming and how to lift properly and biomechanics.
It was the PT course that opened your eyes to that, was it?
It started to. Yeah, I started to realize there was all these different modalities of training that were interesting. So it was like, right, let's start looking into them.
Yeah, but what I mean, so when you started though, what were you hoping for your body? What did you think was going to change? In
the beginning, it was still weight loss. So what I wanted to do was get lean, I think.
What did lean mean to you at that point?
Muscle definition.
Was it body beautiful, or was it just light? No,
it was muscle definition.
Muscle definition.
Which I achieved, but I was just skinny. Basically, right. I got down to 9.5 stone. And, you know, and I was like, wow. And I was like, look at that, brilliant. I've done everything I want. And I was like, look at me, aren't I dead happy? And my wife at the time was really worried about me because I was too skinny. But I think that was because, like, you know, I'd been made redundant and I'd just learned how to get fit, and I had all the time in the world. I'd had a payout, so I didn't need to get a job immediately. So I was like experimenting with stuff. So I thought, all right, I'll I'll go all in on losing weight. So I did, and I lost, I lost too much. So I was, what's that? I was like 2 stone lighter than I am now, which is
2 stone. Okay.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I'm 91 now, and I went down to initially when I first went through my weight loss back in the early 2010s. I went down to 72. When we first met,
That's what I am
74. Now. I was 74.
Wow.
When we first met, and now I'm 91. So I was, like you, when you do that initial cut, you just, with no muscle mass, just bang straight down.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the focus was on weight loss of fat. Well, it's actually fat loss, isn't it? But the focus was on weight loss is what I thought it was at the time, which is why, like, when I talk to people now, I don't even really think about that, because it's part of it, but it's not the main focus in my eyes. I don't think that's a healthy way of looking at it, even though it's a healthy thing to do.
I suppose that comes with experience, really.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the things that people experience is that they're not quite sure what the right questions to ask are. And so the questions you get are typically, how much does it cost? How much weight am I going to lose? I don't want to be bulky, I want to be toned. And those are kind of the areas that most people talk about, because they don't really have a more specific language for it. And I mean, it sounds like you didn't either. You were like, I just need to lose weight. I need to be healthy. I'll go and run a marathon because that's healthy, or I'll go and run a health marathon and I need to be lighter. And so it's almost like your language was much more limited,
Well, it was, because I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So
do you now?
Well, I have more of a clue, but still not. We know that, right? The more you know, the more you need to know, and all of that. It's the more you learn, the more it opens up. But this is what's great though, because now, like, just racing ahead on that, because, like, obviously I got into doing into strength and stuff like that. So actually, what you were just saying there, when I first met you, 2015, that was. Yeah, you said you were like 72 kilos.
74, I think I was 74 on the day, because I had to weigh in on the day. Yeah.
The year before that, 2014, November 2014, when I first did my Strong First, the SFG1, I was 63 kilos, which is nothing. And I had to do everything with two 24s. So
you're 72 now, and you went down to 63, so 9 kilos lighter. And that was when you did the SFG1, you say?
Yeah. Which was everything had to be with double 24 bells at the time as well. So it was pretty.
Even at your weight.
Yeah. If you were above 60 kilos, it was 224s. It's changed now. Wow. I think it's 68 kilos or something like that.
So that's like, it's like 3/4 body weight.
Yeah. It was bloody hard. Yeah, and snatching
that's like me doing 64 kilos or something,
Yeah, it was bonkers. It was bonkers. But anyway,
you passed it though.
Fast forward, I did. I put a hell of a lot of I put a hell of a lot of training, and I only decided to do it in the August, so I just fast tracked everything, which was the wrong way to do it, because I ended up with clunky shoulders and I was just knackered.
Well, you have that time. It's like a race line, isn't it? It's like when you're training for a marathon. Sometimes you got the eye on the prize, and once you'll put your body through hell in order to do it, won't you? Yeah,
exactly. And it was just a big achievement at the time. I had basically, I just wanted to prove stuff to myself and all that. And ironically now, I could just go and do it tomorrow.
But what did you prove to yourself?
I don't know. This is the thing, because I didn't have anything to prove, but I felt like
Why did you feel you needed to?
Because I'd been made redundant, and my relationship wasn't very good at the time, and all of that. So it's I just wanted.
So you needed an external focus,
something to hang on to.
Yeah.
That was just for me. That I could just I could just be proud of.
Yeah. And were you?
Yeah, I was at the time, and I suppose I still am. What I'm not necessarily proud of, what I'm happy with, is what it's given me further down the line. So it just changed my whole outlook on things, and kind of like, right, I need to focus. I don't need to focus on actually the weight. I just need to focus on what progress looks like, and what the process looks like, and how to make it as simple as possible.
A lot of people are suppose when they're starting the journey, I mean, I throw myself into that camp as well. I mean, you're slightly lost, aren't you? I mean, I was lost. I felt kind of lost. And then these things that you can do, your body is something. I suppose one of the reasons I was into fitness is it was an area in which I didn't have to rely on someone else. I didn't have to rely on someone else because it was my body. I didn't have to compete with someone else because I just had to do something for my body. My body would do whatever it did. Now I had expectations, but it was something where I was empowered.
Mm-hmm.
I believed I was. When I got my momentum up, I could go into how that happened, but I got a sense of purpose in a way that I hadn't on anything else in my life. I didn't have a sense of purpose at work. I didn't have a sense of purpose in loads of different areas, and being able to kind of go on my own fitness journey gave me that direction. Even if I wasn't always firing in the right direction, I was at least trying to empower myself and things like, you know, doing a marathon, half marathon, doing your SFG1, those were like snapshots of achievement in an otherwise slightly chaotic environment.
So was that basically like, are you saying that you could control that?
You could control it, but you could also you know, I think humans do really well with clarity and tunnel vision. I think when you think about the amount of information nowadays that we're exposed to is huge. And, you know, we evolved to be hunters with a very specific mindset, which is you've got to put yourself in the mind of an animal and hunt it down. And you would do it with a couple of other people, and that would be your focus for the day. And nowadays we have this huge, wide-ranging set of expectations from society, from ourselves. We have loads of complex interplay kind of relationships. There's pressure coming from all different angles, and fitness is like going back to that. Let's go for the hunt. Let's do that simple job.
Yes.
And then let's discuss it, you know, and there's a cathartic element to it as well, just like there would be on the hunt, where you go, you achieve it, you get sweaty, you push yourself. And then at the end of it, there's something real and tangible, which was your dinner. But nowadays it's the SFG1, it's the marathon, it's the medal, it's the thing. So there's a very kind of chemical and primal payoff, I think. And I think there's a lot of benefit to that. Well, there certainly was for me.
It's funny actually, because so I'm currently, actually it's this weekend, which is where James has gone, the SFG2, the level 2 that people are doing. One of my guys, Jed, who I train online, is going to do it. And he should do all right with it. He's got the strength for it. He has to press a 36 kilo bell because he's over 50. That's his strength test. And he did 10 sets of one on that on Monday, each side. So he'd be fine. But I think he's pressed the 40 as well. So he'd be all right. But what was I going to say? Yeah. So that's kind of like this is what I was going to say. And Jed has basically been following the program to the letter every day. You know, he checks in, he sends the videos, everything is done. So he's on point. And I was listening to, I was listening to the Stephen Bartlett podcast. I don't know if you've listened to that. The guy who's on Dragon's Den. But anyway, he's over in the States doing like a series of podcasts. And he was talking to Tim Grover, who's the guy who coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
Right. And he said something about being, you want to, the difference between being interested in something and being obsessed by something. Right. And I was thinking about this today when I was out walking, because you talk about obsession with things, right? And that's not necessarily healthy. So like top level athletes and all that become obsessed with the thing and obsessed with winning.
Well, that's the Conor McGregor quote, isn't it? Is I'm not talented, I'm obsessed.
Yeah. So Johnny Wilkinson talks about that sort of stuff now. He was on the podcast as well, and he's been on several others, and I've listened to those. And he talks about like when he was obsessed when he was younger, but now he might do things differently. And he wrote a book when he was younger, and he says he wonders how many people he screwed up with that book because of talking about being obsessed as opposed to being interested in something. But then Tim Grover says the people who are interested are the people who watch the obsessed people go ahead and achieve what they want to while they don't. Right. Yeah. Which all sounds hot, like it sounds harsh, but I was thinking about this today, and I think it's true. but we're not all top level athletes, right? So the way I look at it as Jed, the guy who I'm training online, is off to the SFG2. He's done all the sessions and everything. And I've had another few people in the past. I want to train to do the SFG1.
Yeah.
Not necessarily go and do it. I want to be able to, but I want to be able to pass the standards. So I've said, right, here's what you're going to need to do. We're going to need to be all in on this. I've had one specific person who did this to me, did this with me. However, I'd said at the very start, this is what it's going to take. You're going to need to do this many sessions per week. You're going to need to do this and this and this and this. Yep, I'm on it. And then they disappeared. So they'd said that they were interested in doing it, but they weren't going to get obsessed.
But sometimes
when I say obsessed, all I mean is doing 3 sessions a week of lifting stuff and doing what I say, and then we review it and then go back and then we'll go, right, each week you have to do 3 sessions. Simple as that.
But there was a strong, I mean, in a way, if you're spitting, when I'm sitting in a consultation, what I'm interested in is finding out why someone even wants to bother sitting in front of me. Yeah. And it's the same with that. It sounds like when you went to do this, there was kind of a strong reason that would get you up and put yourself through that. There was a real need and an urge to do it, and you hadn't quite found the right direction, but you were compelled to move forwards. And I was compelled to move forwards, and at times I moved forwards in kind of dead ends, but I was always compelled to move forwards. You're talking about some people just sitting in front saying they like the idea of the target and the end point, but there's nothing that's going to give them the momentum to go and actually reach for it. It's like, I like music. I love music. I used to work in music. I used to play guitar. I used to play the bass. I still can play the bass. I don't play it. It's actually my ability to play it's atrophied quite greatly. I used to be quite naturally good at. I was good enough to be able to play in bands and do whatever, and and I've lost that completely because I'm now not really compelled to put the effort in to do it, and I have no fire within me to pick up the bass and spend 2 hours on it each couple of times a week, just building up the strength, understanding the complexity of music, and that's just no longer there. But
where did that go?
I think it's one of those things where firstly it relied on being around other people, and moving down to a new city. I didn't have those people around me that I had when I was in Sheffield. I had a network of people who played instruments, and bands that I was in, etc. So it was a real musical culture, and I was kind of embedded in that. Then it was time. I suddenly lost time, and I thought, that I would be able to maintain it. And then before you know it, a couple of years passed. And then I started getting obsessed with fitness, and that's where all the energy went. So it just moved.
Has it been replaced?
It's been replaced. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't think you can. There are people who can be very good at lots of different things. I'm probably not one of those people. So I have to, I'm this obsession that I've had with fitness is something. It's, like some planets have an inner core, and that core can keep going and keep burning. And that's what gives the kind of geologic kind of activity within that planet. And then there's other planets. They were never quite big enough to sustain that geologic that activity, that kind of internal fire, and they kind of burn out and become cold, dead worlds. Well, I've still got that internal fire for fitness, but not so much for music,
But you've just said you're probably not the type of person who can be good at lots of different things. But in fitness, it's not just one thing, is it? This is the thing. People, I'm good at fitness. It's like, hang on.
Yeah, I'm good at I can do all the fitness.
What? Yeah, all the fitness. I can do all the fitness. What bit of it?
I can do.
What bit of that?
Stuff
is
with
it
your
mobility?
arms.
Is it strength? Is it conditioning? Is it
Well,
like
it's the
endurance.
up and the down, and it's the picking up and the putting away and the pulling towards,
exactly. But
and all of that.
there's there's so many aspects to it, which you know about as well, as in like the, you know, mobility and strength work and endurance and stuff like that. You know a lot about lots of different things.
So I've tried a lot of them.
Well, no, through experimentation and obsession with it. Yeah. This is the thing. And this is what I was trying to get at with obsession is like, it doesn't need to take over your life. You just need
no, it doesn't. No,
you just need to put some time aside to obsess about that. So even if it's 3 sessions a week for your average person who doesn't want to get into fitness, but just wants the result.
But in a way,
that's where you get a coach to be obsessed for you, to actually have that obsession, and then say to you, you just need to put 3 hours aside a week that are yours. No one else gets anywhere near those. Like you said, that's something you can then control, because all of this other stuff, your family and your friends and your work and all of that, there's lots going on there that you can't control. You can control those 3 hours. I will give you what to do. We will review it every week because, you know, things will show up. Mark Rifkin posted something the other day as well, which I was thinking about this morning, which fits with this, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But other things will show up, so we'll need to review it, which has happened with me and with Paul recently. And then we'll move from there. All you need to do is show up for those 3 hours a week and be obsessed for those 3 hours, and that's it.
Well, eventually carve your body into something that just, well, you become the person who just does it, and in a way, whether it's an obsession or not doesn't really matter, because you're just doing, and you're the kind of person who does that, and that's the difference between you. It's because I don't want to scare people off and say, oh, you have to be like this person who just self-identifies as a fitness person. In a way, what you want to do is just be doing it enough so that it becomes part of you, and therefore it kind of, you can't really separate it, and you don't have to intellectualize it as some kind of separate characteristic, you know.
I suppose that's what I'm trying to say is you don't have to become obsessed by it. All you have to do is put some time aside, 3 hours a week, you know, to focus on it, and that's it. That's in the beginning. That's a lot.
And learn to fail and be. I think goes back to. I mean, I think one of the things that probably both of us did fairly well at the beginning was that we had a childlike interest in sense of learning. I think if you see it as an opportunity to learn, and because I, you know, it's like one of the things I got quite obsessed with when I was a kid was like learning about space and stuff like that, and just like finding out facts about what different worlds were like and their atmospheres, and kind of like these kind of, because it felt so otherworldly. And then when I discovered fitness, like there was all these books and things, and they were like, I'd never come across this stuff, and I just got obsessed with, well, obsessed, we're using that word again, but I got very, very into just educating myself around it. And when I did that, it became exciting, you know. It gave me a lot of energy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you like the small subjects, right? Like space.
Space. You know, I did philosophy.
And then once you've done that, so you've done space, right? You've done that, and then you've done music. You've done that as well, because I mean that's a tiny. So you're now into fitness.
Well, I also did philosophy for 3 years.
Wow, that's tiny compared to the rest.
Yeah, I did Aristotle. I did all those.
That's just one question, isn't it? Why?
Yeah.
There you
why?
go. Done.
Yeah. So why? How am I going to make money? Is actually the second question.
Yeah. How do I sell this?
So, how am I going to pay back my student loan? That's the.
So this goes with like I say, I've had a great day today. Just like because I was getting. This is another thing. I was given time today, because there was 2 sessions that I didn't that nobody had booked onto, which gave me from 6 o'clock this morning until 2 o'clock this afternoon to just do whatever I wanted. So I went for a walk, and I've been doing lots of thinking. Mark Rifkin, who we've had a friend of the show, who we're going to get back on again. Actually, we need to speak to him. But he put up something.
Do we have any enemies of the show?
Probably, but they don't let us know, do they?
No.
He put up a post the other day about how sets and reps and all of that, and doing this many reps in this number of time, and all these modalities of training that you can get apps for and stuff like that, don't know. You can go and sign up to an app or whatever, or a training system or whatever. They don't know what your injury history is. They don't know how many kids you've got. They don't know how many hours you work. They don't know how tired you are. They don't know what autoimmune issues you've got, like inflammation flare-ups and all of that. They don't know what you eat, and they don't know how much sleep you've had. They don't know how you feel. They don't know what your lifestyle is, basically. So they'll then tell you, do this for 45 seconds with 15 seconds rest, then do this, then do this. Those styles of training, or whatever. Do this many sets and this many reps with this weight, and then move ahead with that. They don't know. So it was like, basically from being a coach for 40 years or 50 years or whatever he's been, and we've been coaches for 10 years, not as long, but we're also not as old. So by the time we're Mark's age, we'll have been coaches for like 30 years, which is great.
Yeah.
That I can't wait. Like I love that. But the more he was kind of like, the longer he's been a coach, the more he realizes that, especially as you get older as well, because sometimes recovery will take longer. So it's all about what you can recover from. So
as a coach, what is your value? Because and it's quite obvious to me what the value of a coach is. It is not about giving you the best deadlift technique. It is not about best nutrition, or it is about being able to look at you as an individual and hold you accountable to those things and apply their knowledge, in whatever aspect. But it is not, because you can get everything else for free.
Yes.
Eventually AI will probably be able to do most of those things. It's like, I believe that, AI at the moment is drawing pictures that are amazing. That's crazy. Lots of things can be automated, but this ability to create human contact with another human is really what a personal trainer does, with just particular expertise.
To bring James into this as well, because he put something up today as well about how, having everything to a plan is fine. You need a plan, but having everything to a plan and trying to stick to that plan no matter what isn't the way to do it. And he said it's the same with him now, thinking about that with clients and I do this with my guys all the time when they turn up. It's like, right, how are you feeling? And most of the time they're feeling fine, but sometimes it'll be, oh, I'm tired, I didn't sleep very well. It'll be like, right, let's get started, see how it goes, and we'll just change it up if we need to.
Yeah.
So we're on a program and we're on a plan, but every single time they show up, it's like, right, let's just check in and see how you are, and then we'll go from there. And I do that myself. When I get started, I'll be like, right, how does this feel? It feels fine, right? Let's keep going. It doesn't feel fine. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about how I either do it today or put it off till tomorrow, maybe when I might feel better, or just not bother, and then tell Paul, tell my coach, like, to that it didn't happen today. And then he can then decide what to do about that for next week. And he might just go, well, let's just do it again next week. Let's just repeat it. Or
I do a lot of repeats, not because I miss sessions, normally because I've had like a poor week of recovery or something like that, or we just want to consolidate something,
Yeah. So, I mean, that comes in with like injury and stuff like that as well, and just being mindful of. So you were saying, like, where's this gone, and what does it look like compared to where you started and what you wanted in the beginning, kind of, weight loss and all of that. Now I just want to be able to move well, be strong, be like the weight I am now, not be overweight, and just be able to do things like go for a walk this morning, have a few hours this morning, go, right, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to walk past the stones, I'm just going to try and pick them up.
Yeah.
And then obviously, for progression wise in my programming from Paul, we need to know what the weights are, how many reps we're doing and all that, and what it feels like in you know, the on the scale of 1 to 10, how my central nervous system feels it and all that. You know, we know about all that. That's, we need to see that as the progress. But all the other stuff outside of that, so that's and that's 3 sessions a week, pretty much, is all I'm doing at the minute. Everything else is like bits of yoga here and there.
Are you only doing 3 sessions a week at the moment?
Yeah.
You were on 5 days a week, weren't you?
I was, yeah, but I mean, 2 of the sessions weren't that much anyway. So it's just, it is literally 3 sessions a week, and then just lots and lots of movement, mobility, yoga poses. I held a crow pose for 50 seconds the other day. So I don't know what that means. It just means I can hold that pose for 50 seconds when I never used to be able to do it. Like, I don't know, about a year ago or whatever. So that's progress. I don't.
You get a medal when you get to 60.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I'd done a minute, but I counted wrong because I wasn't timing it. I just filmed it. But and then like we were saying with the stones, I don't know how heavy they are. I just know that there's 2 of them I can pick up and one of them that I can't quite get at the minute. So when I get that, I'll be like, right, that's progress. Doesn't matter how heavy it is.
Yeah.
And actually, that's part of just my everyday life. So what I get out of this now is I am getting stronger, and I know that because I can walk for miles without getting. I'm pointing. I can walk for miles without getting tired. The stones are about an hour and a half into that walk, so I've probably already done about 3 or 4 miles before I even get there, and then I pick them up. Some days it feels good, some days it doesn't. I can pick them up and I'm down in a really proper deep squat. So if that's what you want to call functional strength, then it is, because it allows me to do things like that. You know what I mean? So, and I think we always talk about it, what does it look like in 20 years time? If I carry on like this, it allows me to do those things, and different things show up, like stone lifting showed up from talking to David. I didn't know that was a thing. I've walked past these stones thousands of times, and it was only about 3 months ago that I decided to move them around and pick some of them up.
Are you going to make your own stone henge?
Yeah, I'm building a henge.
I'm building a henge. Well, someone did in the past, so they might as well do in the future,
But what about you? Like, with where it's gone, where you're at now, because you were the same, weren't you? You want to lose weight, and then you were kind of into endurance stuff. Then you got into strength stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to lose weight initially because I was so unhealthy.
Yeah,
and I wanted to and I'd always done lots of running, and I'd always been quite slim. And then I got very fat, and I got very unwell. And then I wanted to just get healthy again. And I wanted to be out of pain, actually, is the main thing, was to be out of physical pain, because I was in quite a lot of pain physically, both in terms of other than my stomach, which was the main issue when I was overweight, but my knees have been a chronic issue since I've been a teenager, to the point where I was just struggled to walk, struggled to run.
You have Osgood splatters or anything like that?
No, it was just I think just very poor movements, bad,
You're quite tall, so I thought, like,
yeah,
that happens, doesn't it? Like, you kind of grow too fast, and
I think probably at some point I grew fast, and I wore very tight shoes, and I sat down a lot, and I just got stiff, and I did a lot of contact sports that as a teenager, judo and rugby, that probably bashed me up a bit, and my knees were just so much pain. And so a lot of what I was trying to do was trying to get around that. And then I got into I because I was so limited in my knees, my main goal was really to be able to run without pain, because there was a great sense of freedom with that, to be able to run without anything hurting. So I used to, I remember, I think I've said this story in the past, I used to push trolleys around Sainsbury's as part of my kind of my job that I had when I was a teenager. And I used to dream about being like a Spider-Man, before they had all the Spider-Man films and stuff like that in the mid to late 90s. I was thinking about like what it would be to have that physical freedom. And I think a lot of it is about like, how do I get my physical freedom? And so when I got myself out of pain in terms of my knees, there was a great sense of relief and a great sense of kind of opportunity. And so I did lots of running because my knees didn't hurt. And I ran around, did lots of more running.
How did that feel?
Oh, it felt great. It felt really good. And I started getting into some really good people. But the problem is I started running, and I ran myself into a lot of other injuries. So I started to get really tight hips. And I was also aware of how skinny I was. I mean, I was just such a skinny person. I was really tall, and I just didn't feel strong. I didn't feel physically fit. And then I would do things like, I'll go to kind of like things, and I suddenly realized how weak I was.
Yeah.
I was almost embarrassed by it. And so,
were you scared though? Were you not scared, but were you concerned, say, that lifting weights might make you not as good at running?
No, I was.
And then things might step backwards then, because you'd have to stop running, and then all them issues will come back again.
Well, I think I was in so much pain. I just wanted to find a solution. When someone gave me a kettlebell, and that really helped when I went into a deep goblet squat, and I was like, wow, what's this kind of thing? What can I've got this kettlebell. What can I do with it? I was still obsessed with running, and I didn't, but I thought when I got into strength training, I was suddenly put on this huge amount of mass, and I would start to look big, and I'd get the six pack, and I get the big chest, and I would have this kind of physique. And I suddenly realized,
turns out it's not as easy as that, right?
It's going to have to be either TRT or some kind of steroid injection to give me big biceps, So it's like, I think part of my journey has been setting myself expectations and understanding exactly what my body can do. I think I'm actually in a good place with that now. I think, at times I'd like to be able to progress. I feel like I progress quite slowly, but I think I'm actually probably stronger than I think. And I think I'm probably, compared to a lot of people my age, I can do, nothing really phases me now. I can do 10-minute sets with kettlebells. I can do, I can lift heavy enough for me. I'm probably a bit tired a lot of the time, but that's more to do with work and just how busy my life is. But physically, I don't think actually what I've gone to is that it's now actually I don't really feel like I'm physically limited in the way that I did. I did go through a big phase where I wanted to be really flexible, and that is really hard for me. That is, well, because again, it was an extension of physical freedom. So I was struggling to build a lot of strength, I was struggling to build, like I did that kettlebell certification with you, really struggled with 24, and I was feeling kind of weak, and even though I was doing a lot of strength training, I was feeling weak. And I was starting to get a lot more pain when I would push through things to get to the next level. And some of that's down to my skill level at the time. But so then my solution was like, I need to become more mobile. I need to work on more body weight strength. I want to have more physical freedom, to have flexibility, to just put both my hands on the floor. I want to be able to, have better shoulder mobility, spine mobility, and all that. And people kept telling me, hey, you're slightly kyphotic, you need to do this, and this. So I got quite into like body weight training, gymnastic strength training. But my God, that's hard work for me. My body reacts even slower to that than it does to strength training. But I mean, and I found it difficult to kind of contextualize progress in that. So then I was a bit lost before I started working with Paul, because I was kind of in between like body weight training, flexibility training, strength training, endurance training. Endurance comes very easily to me. So in terms of like just building general endurance, I'm fine. But everything else was the challenge. But actually, I really like being strong. I think that's it. But I think
strength helps with everything, though. It helps with it. I mean, as long as you don't like, and we're not talking about getting bulky, we're talking about just adding strength. I mean, I'm exactly the same way as I have been for, from when I was lighter. I put some mass on, and I've pretty much been between 70 and 75 kilos for the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. I'm the heaviest I've been actually in a long time. But I think that's more the fact I've just done more strength training. And actually, I'm supposed to be this way, I think.
Yeah, but I've got stronger and stronger and stronger in that. I just haven't put any weight on. In fact, I've lost weight from my heaviest to that. My heaviest was 75 in 2017. And then
I'm never gonna have a six pack without a lot of work. I mean, it's just so much work to get it. It's just honestly, someone who wants aesthetics, that's cool, go for it. But so if you can actually get those aesthetics very quickly, you'll probably be able to sustain that quite easily. For me, it's just not easy to sustain.
You see, I've just written down another thing I was thinking about. Honestly, I was thinking about this all this morning. How, and this goes back to the Stones as well. Like, honestly, this goes back to like just the simplest form of this stuff. So strength training was done with rocks and stones and that back in the past, and it wasn't even training. It was just rites of passage and all of that sort of stuff for villages and all of that.
Yeah,
and it's not an actual number on a weight and all of that, even though like it can be for progress, but the goal doesn't have to be to get to that weight. The goal is, for me now, is just to expand your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Basically to just basically to make your central nervous system what's the word?
Pliable.
Yes, but more responsive, right? So something Tim Anderson, friend of the show, who I had on, Original Strength, and I don't know, I can't. He probably got it from like the Well Balanced Child book that he read or wherever it was, but your body heals itself as at the speed of your central nervous system, doesn't it? So if you can get your central nervous system not fired up, but just more aware of what's going on with your body, then it can also be more aware of how to fix it.
Yeah.
So, and obviously as we get older, it'll, you're fighting against the fact that it'll slow down. So you want to keep it as fast as possible. So to me, strength is the feeling and not the number.
It's not the number, is it? Yeah, it's the feeling.
If I can go up on the skyline, walk past 3 stones, pick them up, and then carry on walking, and there's lots of other, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, I don't care. But other people are like, bloody hell, I've got no chance of being able to pick that up. It's like, there's going to be just not right now.
I see people on Instagram who I know who can just squat like crazy, and you just see them pick things up and they're massively strong, and it's like, that's not me, but I can jump up and down off the floor quickly. I can move around. I can kind of roll over. I don't get hurt very easily. I feel pretty robust. I feel like if I want to do something, I can do it. A few weeks ago, I just did 10-minute swings non-stop with my 24 clean and press. And it was pretty easy. It wasn't challenging. So, it's difficult to quantify to someone. It's not a bench press max. It's not a squat max, but it felt pretty good. I think I'm more patient. I think I was very impatient at the beginning. I was very impatient mainly because I was so keen to get moving forwards, and I couldn't believe that I had an opportunity, but I had no context to evaluate what pace looks like. And I think looking back now, seeing how some of these people who I really respect achieve their results, it comes off the back of many years. And I think actually where I look at where I am now, I'm only a couple of years into really, really focusing. I was, and I think if I'd had this focus from the start, then I'd be in a crazy place in terms of what I could do. But actually, I really value the fact that I spent probably 8 years faffing about a bit and just exploring and making some mistakes and coming across things. Because then when I'm faced with someone with something outside the box, then I've got something in my toolkit.
The funny thing is, the focus makes the other stuff achievable anyway, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
makes the faffing about. So Paul was talking about this recently, wasn't he? And he was doing, he was with a 40 kilo bell. He was doing it from kneeling to jumping to stand
into a squat
with a 40 kilo bell.
Yeah.
He did it with it was like a 24 or something like that, wasn't it? He did it from a kneel and he jumped into the bottom of a pistol squat and then stood up.
I think it was a 40, wasn't it?
I don't know, but that's that stuff's hard to do.
Could have been an 8, but
yeah, it was a competition.
I don't want to blow his ego up.
No, but his thing, he's and depending on what he was saying about it, it's probably quite controversial. But he's like, you see lots of people doing this on Instagram, and that's great, but it doesn't make you necessarily stronger. It makes you better at doing that thing with that weight. But then actually, what's the progression? Whereas opposed to getting stronger and having that strength and mobility and movement and everything allows you to do that. You can do that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it to enjoy it and all of that, that's brilliant. That's fine. Crack on. But if you're doing it to do all of that and then try and flog it to someone else is like, this is the key to progress, then it's a hard one to.
Yeah. Well, the key to progress
that's a hard one to justify, isn't it?
Yeah. the key to progress is to stick at something.
Yeah.
So, something.
So this is what I was talking about with, and what you've just been talking about, focusing. So we're now on that, focusing really hard on what we're doing. And like I say, my focus is 3 days a week. And then the rest of it is just bits of yoga here and there, lifting stones, going for a walk, just general stuff. And I've been posting that on Instagram when I'm out for a walk. I'll do some headstands and some, so I've Nordic curls. I've got them now. So I was doing it. So I was, where you kneel down and
lean back,
lower yourself back down. That I was doing, but I was having to push my head back and touch my head to the floor because I couldn't do it properly. Now I can do it, the shoulder blades to the floor and back, and that's just from practice. That's just from trying it out.
Well, that's the way I used to do it as well. You kind of arch your back. Actually, I used a bench put my feet under the bench and then would just move the bench back until I slowly got my head down and tried to keep it strict.
I saw you doing that last year and I had a go at it and I was like, wow, that's impossible. But actually, it's not.
It's almost like your legs just, the first couple of weeks of doing it, it feels impossible. Then all of a sudden they kind of accept the fact that that's what you're going to be doing. And
it's weird. It's weird how. But that's your central nervous system, right? It's weird how quickly it'll go, actually, I'm putting the brakes on this. And then it'll give you a little bit more. And then actually it'll go, actually, no, you're all right.
Yeah.
So, it's very, I mean, we've gone all the way around there.
Yeah.
It's just this is why so for people listening, if you're still listening, if you haven't.
I was about to say, we should probably wrap it up now. Yeah.
If I haven't lost you, but, this is why it's good to get somebody to help you out in the very beginning. I mean, or all the way through anyway, but certainly in the beginning, because you go right, I want to lose some weight. It's well, okay. But what's next? What happens when you've done that? How do you do that? And sorry?
Everyone can make progress on their own. Let's just say we made progress on our own, but it gets accelerated with help. I mean, it depends how fast you want to go. If you're not going to put all that time and effort into designing programs, getting an idea of what to do, being aware that it could take you 3 times as long, then you've got to get someone involved, and that's up to you if you do that. But it will just accelerate that process, and it will give you an opportunity to get on with other things, to save that part of your brain for the more complex areas of your life, like your family life, your work, etc. And then let someone else take care of some of the thinking, and then you just need to do. It
stops you getting lost and frustrated, doesn't it?
Exactly. So. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Peter, do you want to leave anyone, both our friends of the show and our enemies of the show, do you want to leave them with anything?
Well, I've written this down as well, because you said this when you started talking about doing it, like endurance stuff and running and just wanting to be out of pain. And you said you wanted the freedom to be able to do whatever you want, and that's when I did the work with Pom, friend of the show, on my brand and stuff like that. That's what I came to, of move towards freedom. So movement, and the outcome is the freedom to do whatever you want, to go walking up mountains or go swimming in the oceans or, running or cycling or whatever it is, just pain free.
Yeah.
And you can get up in the morning and go, right, I'm going to go. And someone goes, oh, do you want to go and do this today? You go, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And that's so, just the move towards freedom. So don't you can sit around and think about it or research it and everything. Just do something and move towards. That's why I've had it tattooed on my chest, quite literally.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because that's not going to change. That's why I got it done, because it's there forever. Because it's actually, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, that's why, you don't have to put a number on strength. You don't have to put a distance on your endurance. You don't have to put all those things. You just have to be able to enjoy your life to the fullest, and strength training allows you to do that.
Yep.
So I think it's time to wrap up. What we want to do is just tell you to subscribe and like our podcast. We have the Health Oddity group. The Health Oddity group can be found on Facebook. So please do just kind of opt to join that and we'll accept you in the group. But thanks for listening to this. James will be back next week and well, I don't know if we've got a guest, but if we do, then I'm sure they'll be excellent. But if not, it'll be just us three nattering again. Please do review because it really does help us grow this podcast. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Oddity.